BAYELSA State 200 level student drowns in Ekoli Creek, over 300 naira bets. 200 level chemical engineering student of the Federal University Otuoke has reportedly drowned in the Ekoli Creek in Yenagoa while attempting to swim across the river for a 300 naira bet. The incident occurred on Sunday morning, but the student's body had yet to be recovered as of Monday, and his identity remains unknown. According to sources, the victim placed a bet with his classmates to swim across the creek. They all raised 300 naira each for the stake. As he was swimming, he went under the water and has not been seen since then. The student of the university told newsmen on Monday. Efforts to reach the university's public relations officer, Ms. Mercy Eckert, were unsuccessful. Meanwhile, the police public relations officer, Mr. Musa Muhammad, said he had not yet received any official reports on the incident but promised to provide updates once available. Given that many young students and young people, youths are sent to school by their parents to study and focus, and over time in the news, and according to another report I took yesterday, the idea of gambling and betting is becoming so predominant. What are your thoughts on the story?
You say 300 naira, like 300 naira, not 300,000.
No, 300 naira.
Okay, that's from all the cosmates.
I think it's going to be, it can't be all of them, of course, that would have conceded to wanting to go over there. So maybe they raise 300 naira amongst themselves.
Man, it's crazy. 300 naira. That was too small for the young, the girl or
It's a
boy
guy
to die. But then it's funny. But that also tells us something, that there's something wrong with the mindset, with the mentality, with the education in quote that we are giving our children. I won't blame this young man. I will say somebody has failed him. Why? Because even if he can swim, because obviously he can swim, that's what gave him the push to say, I will swim across that kind of river. But man, it's painful. There's so much to talk about in this matter, but it's not something I want to...
No, let's hear all of it.
It's not something I would like to say here, because if you look at that, you will know that that guy, that boy, something was already calling for his life.
When you say something was calling for his life.
That's why I said it's not something I want to begin to dissect here.
Now, while we can say something was calling for his death, are we going to also say, this was done as a result of the current feud with cost of living? Maybe 300 naira to get a plate a meal.
Would have made a meal for
300 naira, to get something going. Do you think that could have been a reason?
No, but if you look at the motivation, you find out that the money was not the issue. The issue was he was trying to prove a point to his colleagues. The money was not really the motivation. But if you look at the discussion, the money was not the motivation. The motivation was to set that record. I can swim over. Now, what's shocking me is swimming, going under, and not being found till now. Normally, when water wants to swallow you, it throws you up after a while before you now lost. But this one just went under and was not found. So, but all I can say is there are certain risks we shouldn't take. For this one now, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. Even if they had even offered to contribute 5 million naira. Now, there's something about water and there's something about life I've come to find out. You don't make decisions on assumption. Now, probably a young person is listening to me right now. You see, when it comes to abilities and capacities and potential, you don't move into certain areas of life with assumption. Assumption has killed a lot of people. You have to be sure of your facts. Just like that swimming right now. I've been in a pool before. Some young men just came in. One of the guys said he can swim very well, blah, 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 that there's no pool he has not, swam in Port Harcourt. And then the person told him and said, this particular pool is the deepest in Port Harcourt. And the guy said, it's not water. Now, he started. He took divers to help his life. Why? Because probably there are certain things you don't enter with 2 legs. You enter with 1 leg first. Test the ground. before you put the second leg. So for everybody listening, the lesson I'm learning from this young man, because for me, it's a lesson to learn. There are things about life you don't enter with assumption. You must get your facts right. You must have knowledge. You must be sure of what you're doing, so that you don't get in and embarrass yourself.
Let's talk about peer pressure.
Yeah.
And the need to validate oneself as regards all of these things he was doing, other than the money, which is poor.
Yeah.
He was making his colleagues think of him like, I can do it, I can swim through. And the pressure of, when I talk about gambling for young people, which is currently becoming a problem, because lots of clergy and many others, gave critical discourse as regards how gambling and betting and all of that is becoming a norm for young underage people.
Why it is becoming a norm is, like I said, a generation has failed us. Why do I say so? Let's look at all the betting organizations in the world today. Who do they use for adverts? Celebrities that these young people look up to. You see, retired footballers that are doing so well. You see even current footballers that are like fans. Then the new trend now is most of the skit makers, all these comedians. Now the question is, these are influencers. These are men and women that young people are looking up to. And if they are always showing up in on their faces, advertising betting, what else do you expect? Some of them, these children will begin to think that these influencers are making their money through betting, and you and I know it's not true. They didn't make their money through that. The influencers are already using them because they've made the name, they've made the fame already, they're already successful. And whether you like it or not, betting is not a way, to be rich. It's not. Why do I say it's not a way to be rich? Because the person that owns that business is in there for what? To make money.
Yeah.
So you cannot tell me that 5,000 persons bet on one thing, and at the end of the day, the 5,000 will win. It's not possible, because the person that is running that thing is there to make money. No. It's like robbing Peter. No, let me say it like this: robbing many Peters to pay one Paul.
When we look at the society and this whole peer pressure, which was where the angle we're trying to head towards, what are your thoughts as regards how our children, our young people, are now quick to please others, even at the detriment of their own lives? It's always a situation of, my friend said I should do this because that is the way. Do you think parenting has failed in a way where, I think one time there was a discourse I read where they said we only correct our children without giving them a why. Right, why you shouldn't do that. And you think now that has opened the door for peer pressure in a way that people just, my friend has done it, they did not die, or this happened, so I need to please my friends to make them happy. And oftentimes, sadly, as this report carries, at the detriment of the boys.
I will sit here today to say my father did a good job. Why? Because my father will always tell me that I can't forget that in a hurry. He will always tell me it's just 15 minutes difference with someone that is on high speed and someone that is just maintaining. He said highest, just 15 minutes difference. Where that person reached, you also reach. Now, talking about that, my father will always tell me to be myself. My father always made it comfortable for we are four of us. There's nothing like, my father never made it comparative in the house. Oh, see your elder sister, or see your younger brother, or see my dad. My dad never used those words. He will always tell my mom, allow my children to grow at their pace. They are not the same. They may all be your children, but they are not the same. I remember my mom wanted me by all means to be a lawyer. Wanted my younger sister to be a medical doctor. My mom. Then my brother and that's in the third child. That one, from day one, all of us knew that this one is a businessman. Because from little, he started making money in our house. He would just come like this. Before you come back, he has sold this, sold this, sold this. He said, but Daddy, we're not using it again now. So I just sold it.
So did all this training take you away from being pressured
That's what I'm
when
trying
you
to say.
got into relationships?
If my parents never pressured me, gave me that mindset to believe in myself and to run and do life at my pace, that it doesn't matter what matters is that I am consistent and I am celebrating my small wins. I remember when I came back one time, and I think I came seventh. My sister came first. My younger sister came first. My brother came third. The last born, I think I can't forget. I think he came, was it sixth? But do you know that my dad celebrated me more than them? What did my dad do? When my dad saw our report cards, Popsy did not focus on the position. He looked at our average. So with our average, my father found out. He said it, that my first son, you are in a very competitive class. If you were in a class like your sister's own self, you won't have come this thing that you came. My father was like, if you came seventh with this aggregate, with this percentage, who knows what the person that came first? What my sister used in passing me wasn't much, even though she came first. So now you could see how my father was able to balance it. But there's a family to be. They'll be like, why did you come seventh?
Right.
They will not look at this other thing. But
so you think the pressure, first of all, stems from the house?
It stems from the house. It stems from how that child is raised. It stems from the way, the things that the father and the mother call success. It stems from how they judge success, how they judge, people doing well. It stems from there. So if a child is growing up seeing the mother always comparing the father with other men, or seeing the father always comparing, if that comparison is there, and then they also see that, oh, that uncle that does not have a car, when he comes to the house, they hear the comment mommy and daddy makes. And the one that is coming with a car, when he's coming, the way daddy and mommy will prepare, Uncle Joe is coming. Everybody get ready. Why? Because Uncle Joe has a car. But then Uncle Timothy does not have a car. When Uncle Timothy is coming, daddy will be inside. Daddy will say, tell him I'm not around. Now that child is watching. That child is observing. That child is growing up with that mentality. Life is not based on who you are. It's based on what you can have. So that child grows up desperate. And also when the child messes up, when the child does not hit the mark in the house, how does the parents punish, correct, or encourage that child?
All plays a factor.
Exactly. All these things play a factor. That's why peer pressure, what peer pressure does out there, it only I call it your peers pressing out the programming your parents have already put in you.